What up, everybody? Hope everybody's enjoying their week. Myself, I've been a little bit under the weather, so this is slightly delayed, not too badly. Feel loads better than I felt the last couple of days, but it's still coming off the flu. It's not fun being sick, especially in the summertime when you shouldn't really be worried about being sick. Now, this past weekend, there was the roast for Steve DeMarco, and first and foremost, I want to thank everyone who came by and offered their support, as well as those who spoke. A lot of great speeches, and at like the 11th hour, we decided to kind of do something for a really good cause. My friend Lance Romance, guy I've had some dealings with here and there, but guy I have a lot of respect for. His son Brody had been involved in a car accident, medical bills and whatnot, trying to help the family out. So we decided to raise some money for that, and we raised a decent little amount and make a dent hopefully. And we just wanted to offer our support. Some of his family was there, which was great. It was good to see the people that I got to see. Unfortunately, due to timing, kind of the craziness of traveling and whatnot, I wasn't able to really do any sit-downs with anybody, which is unfortunate. Hopefully I'll have another opportunity to be in the Metroplex area at some point and be able to do some of those sit-downs, or maybe some of those friends of mine will be venturing to the Houston area, and maybe I'll get an opportunity to sit down with them. I do have a couple of guests lined up in the coming weeks, and as I get more details, I will pass them along to you guys. But back to the roast. Really fun, really worthwhile. Obviously Claudia's speech was a highlight. Richter's was really funny. I got what Lance was going to do. I was really kind of eager. Technical difficulties, however. But LaMotta's, everybody's from top to bottom. Ryan Davidson's, which I expected, I invited him, was solid. He had enough digs, and he had a couple of guys helping him out with material, but a lot of fun. And I'm always humbled when guys and gals and talent that I've worked with, or who have worked for me, or I've gotten the chance to work for, are real complimentary or giving me any praise. Just really touching, and I really appreciate Code for, and Nigel and Keith for helping me out as far as, putting this thing together, and thanks guys. And I know they're going to be putting out footage here hopefully shortly, and I'll definitely be sharing it with everybody else. So now to my guest for this week. Very few refs in the business get over. Referees usually kind of like a thankless job. With this guy, known as Stache to all his fans, gets the Stache chants. Sometimes his chants are louder than the talent that or the actual performers, but you can't fault the guy. He is memorable. That mustache is very memorable, and it was loads of fun talking to him about creating that signature look that he has, what he wanted to do early in the business before he became a ref. Talk about the fact that he's going to try to run cumulatively 100 miles before his wedding date. We talk about him schooling, his schooling, and with a major in chemistry, which we talked a little bit in depth. It was really kind of hearing to hear him talk about it. We also talked DDP Yoga, and our love for it, and our admiration for the man who created it. And we talked about a whole series of stuff, referee stuff, and performance stuff, and reality wrestling, and so on and so forth. So, I had a blast talking to him, and I love doing these, so I appreciate everybody's feedback. Those that watch them, if you haven't had a chance to watch previous episodes, the last one prior to this was with Gustavo Mendoza. I really had a blast with that one, as well as with Jason Sullivan and Abel Andrew Jackson and Rockstar Robbie and Rex Andrews, aka Sergey Volkov, and Ruthless Ryan Davidson and Kevin Bernhardt, the director of Reality Wrestling, as well as Justin Smith, the guy who kind of puts the whole packages together with the Reality Wrestling. And this was shot a few weeks ago, but I wanted, I try to release one every week. I don't want to try to release two. I've done that in the past, and I'm still working on trying to be consistent with the day that this is released. But if anyone's got any suggestions or anything, feel free to hit me up. Let me know what you think. Again, thanks for all your support. So at this time, sit back, relax, and enjoy my sit-down conversation with the one and only senior referee of Reality Wrestling, otherwise known as Stache. Until the next time, later. What's going on, man?
Not much. How about you?
Oh, I can't complain. Although I haven't done yoga in a few days, so my back's at that point. I wanted to start with the 100 miles before the wedding. So when is it you're getting married?
I'm getting married on November 23rd.
23rd. And how long have you been dating?
We've been together for 5 years now.
5 years?
Yeah. I mean, I wanted to make sure that...
Yeah. No. Hey, man. You didn't want to rush into it like
exactly.
so many. You wanted to make sure you had all your ducks in a row.
That's right.
And you had been in wrestling at that point.
Right.
How long had you been into your career?
I think I'd probably been in about a year and a half, something like that.
And she's totally supportive of what you do. I mean,
but she is by no means a fan at all.
No.
She was not in.
So if you're watching it on Monday, she's just like, oh my God.
Exactly. Yeah. Actually, I have to DVR everything. Watch it when she's not there. So I'm always a day or two behind.
Oh man. Woo. So back to the 100-mile thing. When did you decide and explain to people what the 100 miles, because you want to run 100 miles before the wedding day.
Right. Well, I just noticed that I was starting to gain weight again, and I felt like I was losing my cardio, and I thought, I'm going to challenge myself. I mean, I was in the Army, and I used to run a whole lot there.
Yeah.
But I really got away from that. I haven't probably run a full mile or two since the 5K that I run for the Houston Texans, and that's it. So about 3 weeks ago, I decided that, this is something that I want to do.
Yeah.
I want to try to make this 100 miles happen, and I want it to be not really an easy goal, but something that I can manage.
Yeah.
So, plus it'll get me ready for endurance running in the future. I really want to start doing half marathons, maybe marathons. So I just want to make sure that I'm in good enough shape for whenever I go running around in Costa Rica on my honeymoon. So I don't want to be that fat tourist that can't climb up the hill.
They're like, your bride is so beautiful. You're like, thanks. And you're just pumping more donuts into your mouth.
That's right.
Like, leave me alone. Just bring me the buffet.
Exactly.
So where are you at in that? Where are you at progress?
Right now I'm right at about 78 miles to go.
Okay.
So I've kind of been going a little bit slower this past week. I actually tweaked my ankle right before our pay-per-view on the 26th. Yeah. So I've been kind of resting it. Now I'm just basically walking for the last, I walk about a mile a day.
Okay.
Is what I'm doing. I kind of had to slow it down. So, but I should start back up this next week.
And you have until
November 23rd.
November 23rd. Yeah. That's right. It's right before, it's the week of my birthday and Sam's birthday. Hers falls on Thanksgiving, mine's a couple days before that Thanksgiving. Any November child can get it, seemingly. So, yeah, man, you got, you're making good progress at least. So.
Right.
So what got you into wrestling to begin with? And did you want to be a wrestler when you started training?
Oh, I definitely wanted to be a wrestler whenever I started training. I actually was a big fan of the business as a kid. I grew up watching Junkyard Dog and Hulk Hogan and Ultimate Warrior and all that. And then I made the transition to WCW whenever my stepfather moved in with me. And then it was Kevin Sullivan and Dean Malenko and Psychosis and DDP and Harlem Heat.
Yeah, kind of in the midst of like the nitro run.
All that stuff. So,
okay.
Whenever I graduated high school in '97, and I really couldn't find a good wrestling school around at that time. So I made the decision to go ahead and join the Army, and I left and went and did that, got a job, and I kind of gave up that dream.
Yeah.
And whenever I came back home from the Army, my stepfather was diagnosed with lymphoma.
Okay.
And he was in the hospital, and he was like, "Look, man, there's so much I want for you. I know you were really big into this, and I really think you can do it. Here's a place I think you can go to," and he gave me Josie Wales' number for some reason. So that was my start in the business, was with the outlaw Josie Wales. So he ended up dying not too long after that conversation. And
oh, wow.
So that really kind of motivated me to at least go and
check it out. See if you could make it a reality.
Yeah. So, and Josie, where he may not have been the absolute best trainer in the world, he at least gave me an awareness and kind of introduced me to some other guys that were also there. I ended up getting hurt with Josie.
Okay.
I tore my rotator cuff in my left shoulder.
Oh man.
Yeah, it was a hammer lock into the turnbuckle.
Oh, okay.
And the guy didn't let go.
Oh wow.
He just followed me in and torqued my shoulder all the way up. So.
Well, as inexperienced guys are prone to do, it's
right.
like, oh, I just got to hold on to it the whole way. It's like, no.
Yeah. That's so. I rehabbed that, and one of the guys that I met there, I think it was Mike B. Nasty. He called me up and said, "Hey man, you got to come check out Books."
Yeah.
And the rest is history.
Yeah.
Booker kind of talked me into, well, if you've got this injury, maybe you don't really want to. I don't think I can use you in the ring. I just don't.
Yeah.
But I really need a ref.
Yeah.
It's like, man, I don't know. Well, yeah, I'll do it.
Yeah. kind of had to soul search for minutes.
Yeah, it was a minute.
Yeah.
I'll give it the full minute.
Yeah.
After that, hey, I'm really happy that I did.
Yeah. So it was basically the rotator cuff injury that kind of stalled the idea of being a worker and being a ref.
Right.
What are some of the common mistakes that you see other refs making? Because a lot of people don't realize, I think, guys and gals within kind of realize the importance of a referee. You do have some promoters who tend to forget the referee when it comes to the card. It's kind of like the last thing, and then they call like a buddy, "Hey, can you count to 3? Right. Yeah, okay. That's all we need you for." Right. Little do they realize how important refs are as far as like communication between guys. I'll always use a ref as far as gauging the crowd. It's another person who's not necessarily having to worry about what's next.
Right.
Because really all y'all are concerned with is what the finish is 9 times out of 10,
Yeah.
or if there's anything important story-wise. I use them a lot of times for like gauging where are we at, how's the crowd. If I'm not getting a real true sense of it, they can kind of get a sense of it for me, and as well as communication. If I'm on one side of the ring and they're on the other. So yeah, the ref is, if it's a singles match, they're the third person in it, but they're just as important as the two companions, because without the referee, we really...
Thank you.
There's no conclusion. There's no conclusion. There's no authority. We could get into those common mistakes, but common mistakes for referees that you see as far as, just common mistakes that...
I see... a lot of the mistakes that I see are inconsistent counts. I know how easy it is to get caught up in the moment of the match. Like you said, you're in there as a worker too. You're feeling it, and things are going and popping. It's real easy for you to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah.
Oh shit! I just counted somebody out.
Yeah.
Inconsistent counts, and also not checking the shoulders. I don't know how many times I've seen, even on the product.
Yeah.
It's like, wait a minute, how are you counting that?
Yeah.
I wouldn't count that. Why would you?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The other thing is, to me, getting too close to the workers. You know, that's where you get run into.
Yeah.
And that's the last thing that you ever need in the middle of a match is someone run into you, and you're supposed to sell like, holy crap, I just got the, you know, steamship. You know, but you really can't because you're in that part of the match where they're about to do the heat or whatever.
Yeah.
So you have to be up. It turns crazy in an instant.
Yeah.
In there.
Yeah.
You know, but that's how you learn. You're going to make mistakes. The other thing is, whenever a mistake is made, being able to bounce back from it.
Yeah.
A lot of guys that I've seen, you know, they'll make a mistake and they'll realize it, or someone will tell them, and then it's like they just shut down.
Yeah.
They lose emotion, and they just don't sell for the guys.
Yeah.
Because I can tell you this, as a ref, a lot of times the guy that's sitting back in the back corner, he can't really see your face.
Yeah.
In a hold or whatever. Like someone could be ripping your arm out of socket. They wouldn't know because they can't see your eyes, they can't see your face, but they can see mine.
Yeah.
So if you're not selling for the guys in the ring, the match just doesn't go.
Yeah.
It just doesn't work.
Yeah.
The psychology doesn't work.
Yeah.
So.
Now, from like an indie show, normal tried and true indie show, or you know, no cameras.
Yeah.
To what Books likes to call our television style, which is exactly that. I mean, we are on TV. Even when we were doing YouTube, it was, no, we're preparing for TV.
Exactly.
What were some of the modifications you had to make? Because there is a kind of some rules if you're a referee on televised, on a televised product versus just on an indie product. I mean, you kind of, there's certain sides you can't really be on, but some of them, you know, like elaborate on that as far as you know, some of the stuff, like some of the transition you had to make when we went from, you know, you do, because you still do indie shows now, from those to the reality wrestling or WWE product, which
well, I mean, to be honest, you always got to know where the hard cam is. A lot of the times the guys that I'm in there working with, they want to play to the crowd that they're in front of at that moment. And they forget to transition that hold or whatever to show their face to the hard cam. A lot of times it's a matter of not breaking that face shot. I try not to work the spots where you know, guys are cheating behind my back or whatever and coming around in front of the face. Instead, I want to go around this way. And it can be difficult depending on the positions of what the guys are in. That's the main thing, is just staying out of that hard cam and letting the rovers work. Indie shows, I don't really worry too much about where I'm at as far as ring positioning. Just as long as I just want to continuously stay moving in an indie show. Because I never want to be blocking someone's action with my behind. I got a nice butt, but not everybody wants to see it. You know what I'm saying? But that was the main thing. I know that's the one thing that Justin had talked to me about. Now tag matches are a little bit more difficult for me because whenever we set up for TV, we've always got one team on the hard cam side and one team facing the hard cam. And it's really difficult whenever, you know, you guys are working your spots. You want to go to a neutral corner, and it never fails. You always want to be able to see that guy's face in that neutral corner opposite hard cam. Well, that means I'm always in somebody's corner the whole time. And then to me, it just throws off the psychology to me. I mean, because if that's the heel's corner, what am I doing over there? Getting my tips or getting distracted. So that's the other thing. You know. So those are it.
So now the Stache. What prompted you to? I mean, because it's one of. I mean, with ROW, it is like most of the refs get some kind of. You get pretty loud chants. You've been getting loud chants pretty much throughout the
Right.
Stache chants. What instigated that? As far as wanting to create the Stache, it's a character.
Right.
You're in essence the most refs don't get that. I mean, you got Little Nate, but
Right.
he's one of the few ref characters. I mean, and that's only because there's some inside there as far as
Right.
him and Rick. But rarely do you have refs who get any kind of fanfare. You have merchandise and all that. But how did that start in your brain as far
Well,
as?
to be honest, I actually just wanted to grow out the mustache so that I could be a little bit different.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like I was really generic in the ring back in PWA, and I wanted to get recognized. I wanted somebody to see me and go, "Hey, that's unique."
Yeah.
And so I started growing the mustache out, and whenever I didn't have the curls on it, I kind of got the pedophile chance, to be honest with you. So, I felt like a dirty old man, going to the shows.
Yeah.
So one of the fans said something to me because I'd forgotten to really trim it before a show,
Mm-hmm.
and he's like, "Wow, that thing's getting pretty long. You look like Raleigh Fingers." And I'm like, "Wait a minute, hold on, that's an idea."
Yeah.
And I was so happy Book let me keep it. Like I was expecting the first time that I twirled it to be him go, "Nah,
Yeah.
that's gone. We're
Yeah,
not doing that." But he liked it because the crowd reacted to it, and I just kind of built it up from there.
Yeah, and it doesn't take away from. I mean, if you're getting a louder chant than the guys, then the guys need to
Right.
step up their game or do something to become more memorable. But so, how long have you done the Stache?
I think I've had the Stache now for about 4 years. It's been about 4 years now.
Man, just crazy. So outside of wrestling, you're in school. You're
Right.
going into school for
Chemistry.
chemistry.
Yeah.
And before we started airing, you talked about creating aspirin, which was like 99.9% pure, and it's like the Breaking Bad scenario. So are you
Right.
going to become a high school chemistry teacher that sells meth?
Probably not.
Oh, okay.
But-
I mean, because this will be well past it.
Yeah. Yeah, but if I can't find something in the industry that I really like or that I fit in,
Mhm.
teaching is something that I do
Okay.
like to do. So I could see myself teaching, just not making money.
Now another thing you're into, I mean, we're both into,
Right.
the DDP Yoga.
Exactly.
Which getting to meet the man was awesome.
Yeah.
I had a good little conversation with him. Obviously, he was being kind of pulled in a lot of different directions. A lot of people wanted to get his attention.
Right.
What prompted you to start doing DDP Yoga?
You actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I had noticed that for a while you were having issues moving around whenever you first started.
Yeah.
Your back started bugging you.
Yeah.
And I'd noticed you kind of not being able to.
Oh,
move
it's
the way that you were.
there are days, and it is. Oh my God, yeah. I think that period, and I'd gone through like virtually all kinds of stuff, like lose weight, like even what rehab was telling me to do, like lose weight, change your diet, do more cardio-based stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like doing Insanity, I was doing all these other things, and I had heard of DDP Yoga, but like a lot of people, my only experience with yoga was I did like P90X yoga.
Right.
And that is by far the most difficult yoga. I don't wish that upon anyone. An hour and a half, and people are in great poses, and they're in great shape, and it's one thing to do P90X and my competitive juices, but them holding poses for so long, and I'd get discouraged, so I'd only end up doing a third of it,
Right.
And I really didn't think anything of it outside of, it's DDP.
Mm-hmm.
And then I heard a Chris Jericho interview. He was doing a podcast, and he had talked about, and we were kind of in the same boat, like through my rehab, if the rehab didn't work, then it would be injections, and if the injections didn't work, then it would be surgery, and potentially like you're done, because I always have said if I can avoid a major surgery, get out of this business without having to go through a major surgery, then I'm ecstatic.
Right.
But the minute that it happens, and if it's later in my life, there's no point. Like, I'll rehab it, but actually Sam got it. Like, I was planning to get it, but it was one of those things like, I'll save up for it. And I came home one day and
it was there.
Here you go. So yeah, I mean, it immediately helped. I mean, I think what really was kind of the tipping point was in December, prior to me, when I came back, I was starting to do more dates, and I remember doing kind of a double shot. And so I did the first show, and I was fine, and then I kind of slept funny, and so the next day, trying to wrestle again. So by that, barely moved, and then that Monday I was completely shot. Had to call my doctors again. Kind of a big scare for me. Like, well, what am I gonna? You know, they're like, well, you're fine. Like, structurally, you're fine. You need to do more stretching. And I'm like, what do you mean more stretching? Especially like before shows. Like, I'd never been that guy. Like everyone, you know, I'll do a couple of shows, maybe do some resistance stuff, but like stretching, that's not a big thing. So honestly, starting to do it, and really what I liked was the modifications, because back then the modifications helped. Even the knees for the push-ups, that helped tremendously, and just seeing certain people, like, you didn't have to do the poses perfectly.
Right.
And also the time, like the first workouts, like 20 minutes,
Yeah,
and 25.
20 minutes.
It's almost like there's no reason to not do it.
Right.
And I try to tell myself that now when I say, I'll get to it.
Yeah.
So, okay, so back to, you'd seen me, I guess.
Yeah, I'd seen you, you know, just improve so much, and I kind of went, well, you know, if he can make Steve better,
Yeah.
hey, maybe he can help me out. And I checked it out online, and you know, I'm a big DDP mark myself. I always have been.
Yeah.
But whenever I checked it out online and I saw Arthur's video, looking at what he went to from being, all I could see was, okay, maybe there's a chance for me.
Yeah.
And you know, I got into it, and I started doing the workouts a lot, and I got improved flexibility. I lost some weight. And then I decided that, well, since I'm, you know, skinnier now and I'm, you know, healthier, you know, maybe I can cut back on some of my medications.
Yeah.
Because I'm a diabetic. I'm a type 2 diabetic.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, and that was the thing. I wanted to lose weight so that I could get off the medicines, because that stuff's really expensive. And I started trying to wean myself off of my medications, and it ended up making me really sick.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, like I started losing more weight. I got down to like 190 pounds, something like that. And I was at 250 whenever I started the program.
Yeah.
And I went in to see my doctor for a 6-month checkup, and she did some blood work on me and was like, I'm about to put you on an insulin pump.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, like, and if I get put on a pump, that's it. I can't work anymore because, you know, I take a bump and I've got a needle in my skin.
Yeah.
It's just going to rip me open.
Yeah.
You know? And then we don't need that on TV.
No, definitely.
The Rogue Nation does not need to see
you know, it's screw that. It's the idea that you got a needle in your body, and you know, any little thing can jostle you.
Right.
Yeah. No.
So, I you know, that really opened my eyes. I got back on my medications, and in doing so, it's kind of made me gain weight back. Now I'm back up to like 215 or something like that. What I weighed myself this morning.
Yeah.
But you know, it's a struggle. I can tell you, it really is a struggle for me, because that's the one thing that I have the most problem with is food. I'm addicted to food. I really am.
Oh.
Dude, I can chow down.
Yeah.
And it's just trying to figure out what to eat. You know, making sure I make a good choice.
Yeah.
So that I'm not eating something junky that's going to tear me up later.
Yeah.
But you know, that's another reason for my 100 miles. You know, I've got to have some goal, something that I keep telling myself I got to push myself towards. So
Yeah.
It's a combination of yoga and running, and hopefully I can get back to the same condition I was in whenever we got on television 4 or 5 months ago. Because I'm watching myself on TV and I'm like, geez, God, what happened? You know.
Well, you had to put on some naturally. You had to put on some weight, and so how consistent are you with the yoga? Like
now I basically had to start over from scratch. I've gone right back to day one, and I started that about 2 weeks ago. So I'm just now into my 3rd week.
Okay.
I went back to the beginner program because I lost a lot of strength too. Basically what was happening was my body was breaking down not only fat but a lot of muscle too.
Okay.
So I'm having to rebuild muscle again, and it's ridiculously tough, but I'm doing it.
Yeah.
Like you said, the modifications.
Yeah. The modifications are probably the biggest selling point to anyone that would be reluctant to do it. Because again, like there are probably a lot of guys like me. I mean, you do the fad workouts, like P90X being one of them.
Right.
And when I found that was kind of a revelation as far as working out, just kind of how you piece together workouts and such, the pull-ups and all that. But again, the yoga, and then if I went online and looked up yoga, it was always kind of the spiritual stuff that I really wasn't behind the namaste stuff. Like guys, I'm in a profession that really doesn't. They frown on that namaste stuff, unless you're doing a character.
Unless you're doing a gimmick.
Yeah.
That's all you.
I think what I've found, because for a period there, became a victim of my success. I started to feel really good, extremely good. Had lost enough weight, so on and so forth, and my tendency was to, well, now I could kind of shut it down. So I stopped doing yoga for a while and found I was okay because it was the aftershock of all that. Like my body was like, okay, you're still okay, you know, okay, you're not stretching before the shows, but all right, that's fine. And then it all came back. Like all the pain started coming back, and now I'm at that point of, and I tried to do like the beginner. Even before that, I tried to do like I'll just pick a workout.
Yeah.
Well, you know, I'll just schedule it whatever I can. And now I'm just like, okay, I'm just going to have to do the advanced. I just won't do full-on hardcore cardio.
Right.
Because I have found, I was doing fat burner before the iPay-per-view just to do it. And of course, it never fails the looks I get.
Yeah.
The snickers I get, and I see them. I see all of you that walk past me and snicker and wonder what I'm doing. Even though the guy who created it, who's probably made more money doing that than probably wrestling, is in the building.
Right.
I was kind of half hoping he would see me doing it, but it was like right before the show, like it was the one, and then trying to find a place for it because we didn't have a dressing room, and you know, well, we had the big loading area for our dressing room, so I did it like right behind, so production people were seeing me, and Justin's pretty used to it, because he knows me, he knows the story, but even certain talent that looks at me and I'm going, well guys, I'm about to be 40. You guys are still in your mid-20s.
Yeah.
When you're about my age, you're gonna want to be doing something. Because I'm always shocked, because I used to be one of those people that didn't stretch before matches and could get through it, no problem, or I do a little warm-up, or I do like the P90X warm-up or something. I always try to do something. But yeah, now I mean, I'm not even wrestling on the shows, and I still have to do it because it's part of my thing, and in some respects I hope people do see it and do also see the benefit, because I can tell a big difference as far as like how my movement is. Like my back's never going to be totally 100% unless I go down that path, which I don't want to go.
Right.
But I also want people to kind of see it, because again, it helps for a little bit. I still have issues where, because we have such a long day, and I don't want to be one of those to like complain, but if I'm hunched over, there's literally a good reason that I'm bent over, or I'm like trying to move, or I have to sit down.
Right.
And some people might. Luckily, no one gives me any grief, because they know that when I'm trying to work, I'm working as hard as I can.
Yeah.
So, with all that, within the wrestling, as far as your career goes, I mean, you're with Reality Wrestling and doing great stuff. I mean, but what's your game plan for your career as far as, you know, are you looking to take it to the next level, or is it just a situation of get your focus on your schooling, getting your schooling kind of?
Well,
I mean, you got school, you got a regular job, you've got wrestling, you've got your impending nuptials, which is entirely, it's all balls of stress.
Yes.
Minus the yoga, there should be no stress in the yoga.
Right.
You should be able to take out the stress in the yoga. At least that's one thing that's retained.
Yeah.
You know,
that's where I'm sane.
Yeah. So trying to balance all that, but ultimately, I mean, I think we all get into it to get on the biggest stage humanly possible.
Yeah.
And that's probably no different for you.
Right.
So what are your immediate goals? I mean, immediate goals in the thick of all these balls that you're trying to juggle as you're, you know.
Right. Well, I mean, to be honest, you know, I've heard Jim Ross say you've got to have a viable plan B.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to.
Although it's weird. I hear that because I listen to his podcast. Big fan of it.
Right.
Really like his take on things. The 10 punches I can kind of agree with. And then I see guys on the Fed doing it, and Dolph Ziggler doing rapid fire. I'm like, and you wonder. Just one. And then I remember me, and we all have fallen victim to it.
Yeah.
But I've also heard, I've listened to other podcasts, like of other entertainment professions, and they say, don't have a plan B, because if you have a plan B, then you're not going to succeed. And I'm kind of like, well, I've been kind of a student of both.
Right.
I have done wrestling's in the forefront, nothing else matters.
Mm-hmm.
As long as I've got food to eat and a place to sleep, I'm good.
Right.
And now I'm at the point of, well, I have a career, and it's hard to get work, and I'm not getting any younger. So, you know, if my future is just backstage at Reality Wrestling and building that product up, and we get to some level of contracts, or we get to some level where it is something where it's paying some bills, I'd be totally fine with that.
Yeah.
Because that's where I'm at. But for you, I mean, you're still a relatively young guy, so where are you at as far as that goes?
You know, if I get a phone call tomorrow from Johnny Ace and he says, hey, we want you to come down to NXT, trust me, I'll be on a plane.
Mm-hmm.
But am I going to be stepping over people trying to get a hold of that right now? The answer is no.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've tweeted this and I believe it. ROW is my E.
Yeah.
It really is. I mean, that's... Book gave me a tremendous opportunity, putting me in the position that I'm in.
Yeah.
And, you know, I told him way back in the day that I wanted to help him build his product.
Yeah.
And you know, short answer is, I'm happy where I'm at.
Yeah.
I really am. I'm happy where I'm at. Do I have ambitions? Of course, everybody does.
Yeah.
But, you know, will I turn it down? No.
Mm-hmm.
But for right now, man, I'm telling you, I want to help ROW be the next TNA, Ring of Honor.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely...
And it's well on the way.
Yeah, I think, I mean, I've been part of promotions that have said they're going to be the next big thing, and then they don't run ever again.
Right.
I've had companies tell me specifically, we're going to compete with WWE, and within 2 or 3 shows, they're done.
Right.
I've had shows that have given me tremendous creative freedom, but there be no money in it.
Right.
You know, I was part of the PWA days when it was the complete opposite of what it is now,
Right.
where we wanted eyes on the product, but we didn't necessarily want eyes on the product.
Yeah.
You know, which was, I mean, I've talked to Kevin about this.
Yeah.
Hard pill to swallow for a few of us who were like at that point. I think because we were all at that point. I say like me, Russell, Jared, and a few others that came through at that point. I think when I came to books, I came to it for a couple of reasons. I was tired of coming to the back of a show, being on television, and asking, sincerely asking, like, what can I do to improve, to make myself better, make the show better, make my matches better, make my opponents better, and not getting any real critique.
Yeah.
Coming to books, even that tryout, and knowing, okay, I have someone here, and I couldn't do the ego thing of, well, what have you done in the business? This would be the one instance where him and Shawn Michaels, because and another reason was I had the opportunity to go to Shawn Michaels' Texas Wrestling Academy, and I couldn't afford it because he didn't do payment plans. So I just kind of took that as kind of a regret because he was a guy that I really idolized. And Book was a guy I idolized too. I mean, I looked at GI Bro stuff, the Harlem Heat stuff, his run as champ, all that stuff. Like, it was one of the more entertaining parts of WCW, especially towards the end.
Yeah.
It was like, there's Book, and then there's Scott Steiner, and there's very little, there's some cruiserweights, and then the New Blood and all that. But towards the end, it was like, one of the only guys. And plus, being a Texas guy and whatnot.
Right.
And I think the other reason was I got tired of being told they're not going to come to you, as far as like, no matter how great we did at PCW, nobody was really watching the product that could get us hired. And I always figured, well, you come to books, at the very least, he'll have people that come through. Like, I didn't have the belief, it's going to be developmental or anything like that. I mean, especially when I first got there, that wasn't the thought process. My thought process was, well, if he's running shows, he's going to have some brass there, to some degree. So it was kind of me and Russell would talk about it. I would talk to Paul London. Paul was kind of the guy who told me, because I was like, well, should I go to OVW? He's like, well, OVW's going to get shut down. I'm like, well, what about Florida? He's like, well, you don't want to go there. Well, what about Deep South? You don't want to go there. I'm like, what? I don't want to go. Trust me, you don't want to go there. Because it's a bad day to stop the bleeding. NXT wasn't even a thought at this point. I think it was about to become. He was like, but it's too new, and it's going to be kind of the same thing. He goes, at least with Booker, you're dealing with a guy who's been on top, made on top money, and still is still on top. He goes, so why not go there? He goes, plus it's in Texas, so it's not like you have to completely relocate. But yeah, I know that was the hardest pill to swallow. Once you came to the realization that it wasn't going to be quite like that. But still, you look at it now, and it is, it's everything I think all of us that came into it back then were hoping for. The use of the internet, social media, the fact we're on TV, the fact we have a national deal, the fact we just did an iPay-per-view, the fact top to bottom the roster's extremely solid, and everybody's performing at a good level. I looked at the iPay-per-view. I thought the Diamonds Battle Royal was awesome. From and not just from a physicality standpoint or athleticism standpoint. The one thing I noticed with their match, and I like kind of the earlier matches, was everything got caught. There wasn't like camera was out of position, or like every spot made sense. Whereas in some of the later matches, that wasn't always the case,
right.
you know. And even though there were less people involved in some of those matches, it's still the idea like not everything was caught.
Yeah.
For you, like, what match stood out to you?
You know, I liked the Diamonds match too.
Yeah.
Now I wasn't necessarily in the ring with him for that match. I was outside.
Yeah.
But you know, just watching it from my perspective and the way that they actually worked, nobody was really in a rush.
And you had like five
grand,
like their first match was that night pay-per-view, which I'm sure there were some guys in the back who were like
taking bets.
Come on, like old Steve DeMarco would have been like, why am I not on this show?
Exactly.
Why do I have to put on? I have the long hair. Do I need to wear an evening gown? Why can't I be on the? No.
Right.
But okay, so aside from
the Diamonds, I mean, in all reality, Ryan Davidson's and Pride's match.
That was pretty insane. When the table prematurely broke, which I think that was the table breaking gods going, Pride, we're gonna help you out, because the last time you dealt with the table, it just would not break. So we're gonna make up for it, and really, it's not gonna take a whole lot to break this table. But yeah, I probably would. I could only imagine what the two were thinking as Ryan's coming down and the table just snaps.
Yeah.
We're not giving any spoilers because by now you should have seen it.
Yeah.
But that one was pretty insane. I thought the Lockhart's Heavenly Bodies, new Heavenly Bodies match was solid.
Mm-hmm.
The main, man, the way it ended.
Yeah.
I mean, I've always been a fan of Q's, probably since I first locked horns with him, like years ago, almost 6 years ago. So I can, really proud of that guy, and really to take on Beast and beat arguably one of the most, guy you almost had a few run-ins with. How does that feel when you have certain guys who are just like they don't seem to care about authority?
It's frustrating. It really is. I mean,
like all the Team International stuff. You get Teddy Long to make it a tag team match, and yet they're still all out there, and it's really not. It's just really not fair to anyone who.
Right.
I mean, you kind of see what happens. Because I watched last night's broadcast, their match with the Lockharts, where it's just kind of even numbers, and they're not as effective as a group.
Right.
But how frustrating is it for you? Because you really can't. I mean, if you try to get in the Beast's face, you can't really physically be. I mean, you're a big enough guy, but
right.
I mean, there's some of our smaller guys you could probably, or the Diamonds, although Cinema.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, she might
break me in half.
She might break you in half. But yeah, how frustrating is it for you sometimes?
It can be extremely frustrating, I mean, because I'm just trying to do my job.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, that's all I'm trying to do. I want to make sure a good quality product goes out for the fans.
Mm-hmm.
And part of doing that is making sure that the rules are followed.
Yeah.
So, if you're not going to listen to me, I kind of feel like, why are you going to bury me?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, you're the ultimate authority. I always, and I remember when I was booking and referees would come up to me and like, do I need to be concerned about anything? I'm like, no, you just make sure that the rules are enforced, and if you got to count at 3 or if they don't kick out.
Oh yeah.
Because that's the biggest thing too. Like I remember we did a title switch at a show, and I told the ref at the last minute, but I don't think he quite grasped what was going on. And it was one of those situations of we didn't want the guy who's going to win the match to really know. I didn't want the talent to know, because I didn't want them to come across as we're just going through the motions.
Right.
Like I wanted genuine emotion. This guy had never won a title. No one had expected him to be in the position he was in. The guy who was facing had been undefeated, had beaten top stars of both products that I was part of. And we had kind of came to this conclusion, so I waited till halfway through the show, which I know is unnerving for everyone. all the talent figured it was going to be a certain way, and I had a spot where we're going to get to a finish, and the guy who's winning, his character was kind of like Weekend at Bernie's character, where the music, Weekend at Bernie's too, where the music plays and he'll start to move around. If the music stopped, he just would get in whatever pose he's in, like mid-range. He could be on the top rope. If the music stopped, he'd stay on the top rope. Or if he was like, we always try to make it so that he'd be finished with a move, like he wouldn't be in mid-move. I think we tried it a couple times where he was in mid-move, and like the guy's like, he was small enough where you just could carry him around.
Right.
And I remember the ref thinking he had screwed up. I know the talent thought, I know the guy who won thought he had screwed up, like he was tearfully going to hand me back the belt. I'm like, no, buddy, this was all part of the plan. But I always try to tell refs, like, man, you're the authority, and that if you're not the authority, or don't act like the authority. And I know some wrestlers, especially more inexperienced refs, they'll have that mentality, like they'll allow the talent to kind of bully them to, in a sense. Yeah. Like, we as performers will try to get away with whatever we can. Whether it's glad handing you or come on, buddy, don't count me out.
That funny story. I went up and worked a show up in Austin. It was Quest for Champions. Okay. Way back whenever I first started, like I think it was my second booking period.
Oh wow.
And I was up there. I worked their main, and it was a heavyweight and cruiserweight match. Winner take both.
Okay.
So
there had to be a winner.
There had to be a winner. Well, both guys were outside of the ring, and I'm counting and 3.
And they're in the midst.
And they're just doing whatever, and I'm screaming 7, 8, 9, and I'm looking out at the crowd. I'm looking at the promoter, and I'm like, what do I do? 10. That's it. I called for it.
Yeah.
Disqualification. It's a draw. And you want to talk about pissed. And both of those guys, I thought I was going to get beat to death. But, promoter pulled him aside and said, hey man, he did his job. Y'all weren't listening.
Yeah.
And that's kind of whenever it clicked to me that as long as I do the job I'm supposed to do, and I'm not sorry, but you guys are going to get the grief, not me.
No, I always, and I tell talent the same thing, like be aware of what the counts are. Actually, like that, you have till 5, like break it 4,
don't push it.
Don't push it. You might get a warning once.
Right.
I wish more rules were. I think the more rules that are enforced, the better story you can tell.
And the more heat you can get.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't stand it whenever guys actually work. You're not supposed to use a closed fist.
Yeah.
I can't stand
it. And that's the first thing
right in front.
Yeah.
Really? What am I? Okay, yeah. I spend half of my match screaming at a heel.
Yeah.
And it's like, I feel like a puppet because I'm not able really to do anything about it because
I don't know. You can talk to Charmel or Booker, maybe. I mean, they're especially Charmel, GM.
Oh,
I'm sure you could have. Hey, can I get more authoritative power? Can I immediately DQ guys or something? I mean, do I have to give them a warning? Can we just make a announcement before the show?
Right.
Something? You know the rules, guys. Although I don't know all the rules. I mean,
right.
there's some rules that I'm not aware of.
Yeah. But I mean, at the same time, I want to make sure that there's a good match too. So part of being a winner is working through adversity. So I mean, I realize there's going to be times whenever the rules are going to be bent. So. I don't mind giving a few warnings or whatever, but there's got to be a point where I can say, hey, look, you got to stop this. This is nuts.
Yeah.
So.
Have there ever been, well, no, I'm sure this has happened, but I'll ask, has there ever been a situation where you found yourself in a match and feeling almost like you marked out to what was going on?
Yeah, I mean...
Does that happen often? Do you ever get lost in
there are times
like a Pride, where there is a build up and both guys, but you catch yourself because the rules are a little less stringent in that. It's kind of dude, I'm just here to count 3 or count you tap out. I'm not so much here to really enforce all the little knick-knack stuff. Or like a tag match where you're really having to be aware of everything. I could see that, like a ruthless right. Or like that tag match that man, where it just when they did like the chicken. And one I mean and then I'm watching the iPay-per-view, like I watch the broadcast and I catch myself like, okay, so that's how they got into. Oh my god! And then just how it all worked out. But I always wonder as a ref, because I've done a few guest ref spots, and luckily for me, being the guest ref, no one's counting on me to be the authority outside of, because I did the Humble Rumble, like they did a big title match, and I had history with both guys, and on top of it, the defending champion, Dark Star, was the guy who beat me for the title and kind of ended not just my title reign, but my time at TASW. Like
that was it.
I was like, I'm taking a break.
Yeah.
I had been telling Bob, I'll take a break when I lose a title, I'll take a break. Not realizing that would be the day that it was going to happen.
Right.
So yeah, like a lot of raw emotion, like why am I here? Why am I the ref? Oh, you want me to just ref this match? I'm going to kick someone. No, I'm going to kick someone. And I took matters into my own hands. Because they got in my face, which is unnerving. Like that's the one thing where I'm glad I am a wrestler. Because I had warned, I think I'd warned Darkstar, like got in my face. I'm like, man, if you get in my face again, I will quickly end this match. And it won't be me ringing the bell. I'll just blast you. And then Sullivan, I guess, got frustrated too at a count and got in my face. And by that point, I'm like, okay, guys, I don't think you understand. The fans want me to be in this match, and you two are carrying on. So I'm just going to end y'all's nights early. Although when I talked to Sullivan, we did not talk about that, which is so I guess it's water under the bridge. So anything else outside of the 4 big balls that you juggle, like you got married life about to come, which I'm sure you're immensely excited for,
right?
Because you've waited the time, stable, and it's not like something you're rushed into. So this is for the long haul.
Absolutely.
Not gonna become a statistic. I'm not gonna talk to you like 6 months from now and you'll be like, yeah, it went all downhill.
Steve.
It went all downhill. We've all had friends who are like, you're at the reception and you're watching the video and you're going, this is gonna last forever, and then like 2 months later, it's a lot harder than you thought. And I'm like, no, you should have known it's hard. Do you not see your folks? They're not always happy. They look upset. They don't like each other, but they're married. I want to scream at my parents sometimes. You're married, it's not easy. I know when I get married, it's for me, it'll be a one-time deal. I don't believe in divorce, because it's hard enough for me to have gotten to that point.
Yeah.
By the time I've, me and Sam, I'm sure we're going to do that. And the fact that I even say that we're going to do that, is a big step.
That is a big
because normally I'd be like, yeah, we'll just see how it goes. She's a good gal. No. We're going to go down there. I don't know if we're going to do all the... I think our belief is we'll elope and then we'll invite everyone to a party after the fact. Like, don't even...
Take my advice, do that.
Because
it's so much cheaper.
Her brother got married, and it happened to be the worst timing, and a big point of a discussion. Obviously, we had to have. Her brother was getting married the day of Christmas Chaos.
Oh wow!
And I'm not on the show.
Yeah.
So on top of that, there was a PCW reunion show I had to turn down because of Christmas Chaos. And I remember even me and Book was like, what you do is important, but if you want to perform, I'm like, yeah, but this is where I want to be. If I didn't want to be here, I wouldn't be here.
Right.
We had that discussion when I told him, look, I don't know how much longer I've got. I want to save those last few bumps for important stuff. I don't want to fill up my card just yet.
Right.
So let's be let's be practical and smart about this. But then having a discussion with her. Now, luckily, I met the brother, and I'm totally cool about it. It's like, no, you do what you got to do. It's important to you. You guys have worked for this, and at that point, I think a lot of us probably didn't realize how much of a make or break show that was for us. I don't think we really realized how much of a make or break until after the fact. I think if it had gone sour, it could have gone the other way. Luckily, it was like a packed house. But so yeah, like, but she had told me once she had gone through the festivities and all that, she was like, if we do this, we don't need the big because again, it's dollars, man.
Exactly.
It's a lot of money to, and honestly, if she were to have sat there and said, I want an extravagant wedding, I'd be saving up now for the next 20 years to make that happen. But yeah, I mean, with all that, she's kind of been like, maybe we'll just have a big party.
That's the way.
Maybe we won't do the other stuff.
Trust me, that's the way.
But outside of that, so you've got the impending marriage, you've got your regular job, you've got your school, because you're going to become the next Heisenberg. You're not going to. That's fine for legal reasons.
Yeah.
And then you got wrestling. Outside of that, what else do you?
Actually, I'm also looking to start with this 5K that I'm going to do in September with the Texans. I'm actually looking for sponsors, kind of donate. I want to make a donation to Friends for Life.
Okay.
It's a no-kill animal shelter here in Houston. They do
awesome.
They do a lot of really good work. I'm a big animal nut. I've got 4 rescue dogs that I brought in from the shelter. So
nice.
I've got a Pekingese Pomeranian mix. His name's Chewy, oddly enough. We're not into that restaurant at all. I have a Havanese. His name is Stache. He's a little black and white Havanese. I have a poodle that I call Casper, and then I have a miniature pinscher. His name's Charlie.
Okay.
So that's my family right now.
Nice.
Those are my kids.
Yeah,
My kids have 4 legs. And then Candace is already talking about she wants to buy a onesie that says "Made in Costa Rica."
Oh, nice.
So,
well, I mean,
we'll see
she's
how
like,
that goes.
we've been together for a few years.
Yeah.
She wants it all at once.
Yeah, she wants all.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it'd make a beautiful story to share with the kids and the family, and of how the child was conceived during this glorious honeymoon.
Yeah.
I mean, Costa Rica, if you're going to do it, I mean, might as well. Wow.
Yeah, we're starting it.
I'm excited for you for the honeymoon.
Oh man, that's what I'm looking forward to the most, to be honest with you, because I know the day of the ceremony. I mean, while it's going to be great and it's going to be a lot of fun, it's going to be over really quick.
Yeah.
And I know part of me, at least one part of me, way back in the back of my head, is just going to walk in and go, okay, that's where the $25,000 went, right here. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, let's do this.
Yeah.
As I'm holding back a tear.
Yeah. 25. You probably just you just have to just enjoy it.
That's
anything else, like I'm sure your fiance is going to be stressed beyond belief. Probably be slightly medicated to get past all this, all the hoopla. I mean, I think that's the biggest thing, is just the stress. That's what wears you out. It's all the stress of the day. So I think when you're there, everything's been done.
Right.
There's nothing else to worry about. Who sits where, reception, so on and so forth.
Yeah.
Who's sitting with who doesn't like who. It's really not about that. Like my folks, when my folks got married, my stepdad and my mom got married. I remember we were in the car, and they were arguing about food. What type of food to serve?
Yeah.
And I'm about 11 or 12 at that point, and I'm just like, what does it matter about the food? This isn't really about any of us.
Right.
This is really about you two.
Right.
Like, it's a big party for us. I don't think anyone's gonna care.
Right.
I'm like, don't stress about it. Just Who cares?
there's
Who
food,
cares?
who
Yeah,
cares?
yeah. It doesn't matter. I mean, if everyone gets sick,
Yeah.
well, then just don't eat the food.
Right.
Well, that's awesome, man. I mean, it sounds like, I mean, you got a lot on your plate. How much more schooling do you have?
I'm at about 2 years left.
2 years, wow.
Yeah.
How long of a degree plan is that?
It's a 4.5 year
4.5?
plan. So, you know, I'm almost halfway done. So I'm excited. I can't wait until I'm actually done with school. Period. Because that's going to free up so much time.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh my gosh. I don't know what I'm going to do with myself whenever I have my evenings quasi-free. Well, I'll have a kid at that point, so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, because
They really won't be
you'll be
free.
making Costa Rica. So, yeah, you'll trade in one
Stress for another.
time-sucking activity for a person who will suck your time completely, and you'll be so ecstatic.
Exactly.
It won't even matter. It won't even matter how much time you've lost. You must make time for yoga at
Right.
some point.
Yeah.
Even those wake ups,
Mhm.
which would become my go-to. Like, oh, I got 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll do something at least. And even that, like, but I find for wrestling, that doesn't work out too well. It's just good enough, but I need something more substantial. But I would try to negotiate with myself, like, well, at least you're doing
At least
something.
you're doing something.
You can write down that you did some form of yoga, and I'm like, but it's 10 minutes, and most of it I'm just laying down doing nothing.
Right.
Swaying. But again, when I was at that point, I had stopped for a while, so it was, hey, this is all I can do.
Right.
Yeah. Well, man, I'm glad you got into yoga. I'm really excited for your upcoming nuptials, and I'm sure you're going to accomplish the 100-mile run between now and then.
I'll definitely.
And good luck with your studies, and when you need someone to help you sell that blue meth that you're going to make, or those new aspirin.
Right.
But man, thanks. It's been a true pleasure.